that was given. So after reading the question, I think it's the second time we've gone through those particular questions. There were 30 of them that said what you should ask and then what you shouldn't ask. Before I go any further, forgive my eyes on this one. I'm in a laptop, so like and the way I have to split this is the prompt is above me, and my eyes are going to be a little lower, so it's wigging me out. So forgive me a bit. So there are one of the initial question is, what information do you think the interviewer still needs? I'm in a weird position because I've never been on like a hiring process, but I have been a part of committees who talk to people. Um, like I've had different. We're in a small district, so we sort of know who's applying and who's not. Usually, there's names that come across who say, "Hey, do you know this guy?" Like that happens a lot, and especially because we're in coaching. On the coaching side, we very rarely hire somebody who we don't know. So as an interviewer, but I like that. I have to preface that. I like that. So as an interviewer going into any type of process, my first thing before I ever do it is I want to start researching you. So I'm going to call your references, and I understand there's certain things that I can't ask your references legally speaking. What I can say ask is, I can just phrase it specifically. Legally, I can ask, would you rehire this person? Or would you hire this person again? I think might be the exact way to phrase it. And that's really the only question you can ask. I can't really ask about your work habits. I can't ask, was there a personal conflict? I can't ask those questions. But what I can ask is off the record, right, with different conversations with people, because again, this is a different network, is what do I need to know about this person? And just kind of let them see what fills it out. This is not a formal, this is not going to anybody's file, this is not going to permanent record, but like a lot of red flags can come up. So, for example, if you've in the everybody's record, everybody's TEA, your teacher certificate is a public record. You can Google anything. But a lot of times, if there's problems on somebody's certificate, like a citation or even a suspension, they're not going to put that on a resume. And their former job may or may not have ever known about it. They may not have done due diligence. They say that he's certified or she's certified, and they move along. A lot of times, just Googling your candidates can go a long way. I know that seems kind of shady, but it is the truth. Sometimes you can get in, you can avoid some pitfalls by doing that. So I think that's something that an interviewer needs to know. You need to know the person a little bit better than the basic what's on their resume and what are they certified to teach. I don't think it's unethical at all to go back through somebody's social media. I think if you put it out there and you're not making it private, then I think it's fair game. I don't think I should judge you fully by what you do in your private life, but I also think that as public educators, we're in the limelight more often than not. And so, especially as a coach, I have been told more than once, if I want to go somewhere and enjoy a drink in a restaurant, I better make sure that I am well away from my present place of employment. I have been told that. Was I going to get fired over it? Probably not. But it was a standard set. So if you see a lot of those things on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, then the kids are going to find it, especially at the high school level. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at. So how do you get that? Is just some basic savvy. This is not one of those weird technical questions. I think a basic network of people who have been in the profession long enough. I think that's how you attain it. This isn't something you do in a book. I think some basic investigative tools are just should be second nature to most of it. I do think, though, on the board, and I understand what I've said is right up against the line of what would probably be ethical versus not. Um, but for example, there was a situation I'm saying this kind of in confidence, I will say no names. There was a situation in a sister district where a person who had a previous reprimand, but it does not say on the TEA record what that reprimand is. Um, but he had been fairly inappropriate, nothing criminal, but he had been inappropriate with a former student. earlier in his career, and that's you can't do that. Like, you can't do that, and they didn't want that person in the district, and I can't fault them for that. So where that ethical line would be is I think can get a little skewed. I think if you start really digging into people's backgrounds hard, then maybe you could come across issues. But I think that line is extremely clear. I think if you feel like you're doing something unethical, then you are. I feel like if you feel like you're just doing due diligence, then I don't think it's a problem. Um, be careful not to invade somebody's privacy, but even then, I think that can get somewhat skewed. Um, so when it comes to those tricky questions, so for example, in the previous question, let's assume that I had found that out. I would ask the person, I'll say, hey, I see that there was a professional reprimand. Is that something you would like to discuss? And just leave it open. If they choose not to, then I think you leave it alone. I don't know that you can press it. But I think by simply insinuating that you know there's something there, a lot of times people will be really honest with you. And I think so long as they're forthcoming, then I don't really particularly see it as a problem. So I think that answers all of the prompts. I know I take this maybe a bit more cutthroat or cunning than some others will be. But I've seen bad people get hired. I've seen people who are not good fits fake like they're good fits, and then become really hard to remove. That can be cancerous to an organization. So I think it's important that more so than anything that administrators do their homework on people. Um, don't just hire somebody out of desperation. Learn who they are as to the best of your ability, and then move from there. So hopefully that answered all of our questions.